Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mind Your Word podcast. And I have a special guest today, my good friend, Thiago Moura. Hey, how are you?
Hello, it's a pleasure to be with you today, Alicia.
I know. And we have a really interesting conversation today and a unique one, I think, because we have a friendship for 20 years and yet we have not met each other.
Exactly. Well, so many things happened during this
So
time.
I thought it would be fun to talk about our friendship, what kept us keeping in touch for 20 years. Can you imagine, Jill? It's already been 20 years that we've known each other. And
I know it's been like so time passed so fast. Like I can even like imagine like that we've known each other for so long.
I know, and we have so many stories to talk about, like how we tried to meet and we didn't meet, and there was a whole lot of things going on.
Yeah, no, totally.
So
And look at us, like we're like living in the well you kind of got back to where you were previously, but we have like so much things in common, and like we've been like so many different places during this time. It's like the entire life that we
I
are
know
talking
it's
about,
we
like
traveled the
yeah,
whole world and yet we haven't crossed paths except
exactly.
online, which is really funny. And the one question that everyone probably is wondering is how did we meet online, right? What was our
I know,
meeting?
like I only like remember like that we obviously we connected through Orkut at that time, that platform. Like later on, Google bought it, and we kept communicating through that. But I'm so curious, like when we like start first this conversation today, you're like, oh, I remember the way that we met, and I was like, do you like? I don't really recall how it exactly happened. I'm so curious, so please go ahead,
Remember it
remind me.
because Orkut is such a unusual social media. It was a competition to Facebook, and it was more related to South America, Asia, and everywhere outside the
I
United
remember that.
States. And
Yeah.
I was in college at that time, and I joined it because I really wanted to meet people from around the world. And I was remembering looking at your profile, and I was just going through, and I'm like, oh, Brazilian, Brazilian, Brazilian. Oh, there's this guy looks interesting. I remember your picture. You were standing by one of the lakes, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
Oh my gosh, I wish we could have that picture back.
I
Like
know,
I was
right?
wondering
I
like
don't
what
remember.
how did you how did you have like your first impression, right? Like
I was
when
looking, in Orkut, they had all you could see your comments on someone
yeah,
else's profile, and I was reading it, and I'm like, wow, you seem very friendly, very positive, and I'm like, I want a friend who's positive and sending me good messages. So
that's
I
so cool.
remember
Yeah. And
sending you a
do
message.
you do you remember like if it was like community or a group from something that I
No, it was
probably
just
no?
I was just doing a search, and
Okay,
you just
interesting.
popped up.
Yeah, that's destiny.
It was
It
destiny.
meant
Yeah,
to
it was
be.
really destiny. And
That's so
I
cool.
remember I wrote to you and I was expecting the positive energy back, but you were like, who are you?
That, that is totally like sounds like me. It's like, who are you? But like obviously, when we exchanging a few words, like we totally like connected, and
Right.
that's one of the reasons
You
that
were
we are
really
here till today.
concerned and like, who are you? And why are you contacting me? And I'm like, I'm just looking for friends. And you're like, okay. So
That's
I knew
fun.
that was okay because you were like you changed your attitude afterwards. You're like, okay, no problem. Tell me more about you. And we started to exchange. And I think you were just 19 at that time. You were pretty young. I was 22, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
The times that we remember. So I remember like something like at that time that obviously we had lots in common, and that what brought us to this like closer friendship. But at that time I was studying English too, right? Like
yeah,
I was, oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I'm down for that. Like I would love to practice English, like learn more. And I remember like our calls, and our like text exchanges, like we are always like communicating in English. And you're kind of like giving me like some insights in like
yeah.
how is life in North America, that kind of thing. It was also like a lot of reference for me. Like, oh, we are teenager, right? Like we're like in the age of like MTV, the music television, like and we are exchanging like songs we like.
Songs, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, video clips, like all
Right.
those like teenager stuff.
We were
And
still
I something,
teenagers, definitely.
yeah, and I remember like exchanging with you like SMS,
Yes,
and it was
that's the
something
best.
that
Oh
was
my
like
God, the
really like
dial up.
yeah, it was like something that was like, oh my gosh, did you know that? Like we can exchange like SMS in different countries. And I remember like sending messages to you through like SMS and like having those conversations. Also, I think like over Skype, we
Yeah,
call each other over Skype a few times.
right.
And
I
it's so
remember you were so shy to talk to me because like my English okay. And I'm like, do you think I can speak Portuguese? No.
I remember. I was like, during that time, you know, that you're learning a language and you feel like not very confident, like using it.
Right.
Yeah, so we are at that moment, and you were like a very supportive, like friend, you know, like you're always like have a lot of patience to talk to me, to try to understand like things that I was saying. At the time, my English was not like, you know, very conventional, but
No.
like we could like have like we had definitely like moments that you know we communicate with each other, and I was like growing on that language knowledge as well, and you're like part of like that journey of my life, right? So it's really nice have those memory backs, the way that we connect and how we were like really we had like really like in common things, your desire of like learning like things outside, you know, of your world, of your
Yeah.
community, and me as well.
Right.
I remember when you're in college that you have a friend. He was like he's like Japanese background,
Yeah.
and my cousins that they are like also Japanese background, and there is like a gap of language between like their families that they couldn't like speak like a word like in Japanese and either English. I remember that you helped me with that, so you shared with your colleague at that time some mails and some communication letters in Japanese, and he could like translate it to English, and we could have like a understanding of what was going on in those messages. Because you know, like, right, Alicia, like at that time, like it was not that easy, right? I don't even recall there's like any platform such as we have today, like Google Translator or
Oh
those
no,
things
we
that
didn't have that.
make
It
it
was
easy
impossible.
for us, right? Exactly. So I will never forget about that. So we were able to definitely like communicate with their family in Japan, and I was all thankful for you.
Yeah, it's amazing how intern. I was working as a student ambassador, and I had a lot of friends. I still have communication with them
I
actually
remember
from
that.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japan, China, South America, everywhere. It was really. I was all in about meeting a lot of international people.
No, totally. And something that I always remember about that time, about like knowing you at that time, is your passion about the place that you're from, like the place that you were all born and like a girl, right? So I
Yeah,
remember you introducing me to the lake.
Lake
And like I
Erie.
was like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, but it's huge. Are you sure that you know it is a lake? And it's funny because I think we're gonna chat about that like later on, but as a journey of life, like regular destiny, like I ended up like living in North
Right
America too, like
there by
way
the
north
lake.
as you actually. And I got to experience like those lakes myself. And every time, you know, that we were like, I was like hanging out at Ontario Lake or any like northern lakes, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember exactly the first day that Alicia sent me a picture on one of those lakes, and I was already like in love with that nature, right? Like I always have that remi that
Reminder.
memory
Memory,
of
yeah.
like you showing me you know, what does it look like around. I remember like we have like those moments that we share a little bit about our day, and you know, you would like take a picture of like something that was going on. I remember like the place that you're living at that time was like a very beautiful pine forest. You
Yes.
show me the squirrels around, like those like very like common situations that, now living in North America and being in this like environment doesn't call me that much attention anymore. But like being like a teenager, like in South America, there's
Yeah.
such a different geography, such a different culture. Like I remember, like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm inside like a movie. I'm interacting with the movie. You are the pop star, right, Alicia?
Me too, Thiago. Oh my God. I think that, the one of the questions I have here is what kept us, keeping in touch is that we both have we love to share our lives for each other and we love photography and you were sending me videos what was you were doing in Brazil and I was so excited to share with you what I was doing and I still do that. I still
Yeah,
love to share what I'm doing every
totally,
day.
totally.
That's my thing. I love to share photos and videos.
Yeah, I remember. I remember like
Yeah.
we also like used to extend like some postcards
Right.
through mail, right? Like I remember like getting like oh, I remember the day that we exchanged like flags. Yeah, you
Right.
sent me like an American flag. I sent you like a Brazilian
I
one.
I was trying to find it. I know I still have it, but I've been going through my stuff and I remember moving it to one pile and I don't know which pile I put it in. I still have all your postcards and the Brazilian flag. Maybe the next time we do our podcast, I will
Yeah,
show it.
totally.
That's it.
Same. Like, I have your like most of my personal stuff like still like in Brazil, but I do have like all the postcard that we exchanged at that time. I still have the American flag,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because I think we should like update that.
We need to update
Now, of
Canadian.
course, I'll send like a new Brazilian and a Canadian flag now.
Exactly. And I remember that was your dream to come to North America, either to the
Yes.
US or to Canada, and I was encouraging you to do it and you did it.
Exactly. Yeah. I always like wanted, to get to know more about North America culture because, it's such a interesting scenario, right? Like in South America, like got a lot of influence of North American movies. So culture, books, movies, everything like culture, right? And it's funny because we always have that and obviously language, it's very important to know English. It's like the most important language like in the international environment.
Right.
And I lost what I was gonna say. I hope you're
That's
gonna edit
okay.
that.
That's all right. Yeah. That's the whole point of a live podcast.
Okay, so let's go back on my thoughts. I forgot what I was gonna say.
No,
I'm
that's
so
okay.
sorry.
I can move on to the next question because,
Yes, okay.
was the next question was like, when was there any a moment where you thought we were going to lose contact or lose touch, like if we were to break our friendship or whatever, and what brought it back? And we were just saying, like, we never actually broke up our friendship.
No, 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 totally not. And like I always have you like as a, my second sister. Uh
Yeah, you're like a brother
and
for me.
yeah, and like and during like teenagerhood, like well, you're like discovering ourselves, discovering like who we were, like who we are now. And you are such important uh person in this process for my journey.
Yeah,
Mostly, obviously, that a culture exchange. You're like so nice. You're like really out of the core of like as a even though like being like a virtual friend.
right.
We shared a lot. We have lots in common. But I'm lost my track again. I'm so sorry.
But you're right. Yeah,
Okay,
I think
I'm
of
gonna
you
breathe.
more like a brother friend, and we never fought. We never had an argument
No,
about anything.
we
Nothing.
never, never, ever, ever. I remember you getting really mad at Suzanne. No, just joking.
My
No,
sister, my mom,
you never shared
everybody
that.
else, but we never actually. I we
Probably,
never
I don't know. I don't
nothing,
remember.
no
But I
disagreement.
was just trying to make a joke. But definitely, like that is like the feeling that I still have for you.
Yeah,
Like that, like second sister. No, like
right.
we share things, we exchange like cool stuff. We have like so much in common with like likings. You mentioned like photography, culture exchange, languages. And at that time, back into the original question, I don't think we kind of totally disconnect.
Oh,
Obviously, like we are like going through so much like in life, like that moment that like first jobs, career, like building career, like uh going deep like in like what you want for life. And I remember that you spent some time outside of North America too. You went
right,
to Europe like to study and work, and at that time I was working so much, like really like in a different like career goal that I am at right now.
right,
um but I always had the dream, as you mentioned, like, oh, I want to get to know more about North America culture.
right.
And later on we kind of switched like positions, like, well, you
I'm
didn't
like
come
you.
to North America, but you went to Europe and I
I went to
came
Europe,
to North
right?
America. And it's funny because I we lived so close to each other, right?
Literally
uh
3 hours
we
away.
like, how many miles? Like, I don't even
Not that far at all. You were in
3
Toronto.
hours drive or five maybe.
5 hours.
Anyway,
Yeah, but it was
yeah, so we are so close, and we didn't have the opportunity to meet, right? Like, because at that time, I believe, like, correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah.
were you like still in Europe at the time that I moved to Canada?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I was in Europe. So when I was here, it was like short time, and we couldn't
yeah,
even meet. And that was
yeah,
couldn't make a time to come and see you. And you were also deep into your work and border problems and all that stuff was really a
exactly.
challenge,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. And the pandemic like moment came and got
Yeah,
it like even worse. Like, I remember like when you moved back to US, was like kind of the middle of the pandemic,
yeah, it
correct
was
me if I'm wrong.
actually right before the pandemic, but
Right before the pandemic, things are like getting adjusted,
yeah,
and like it's still like tricky to travel most of the times. Economy was not good. There was not money enough like to do things that we used to do, right?
right.
Like we kind of postponed that.
Postponing a lot because you were also trying
Exactly.
to adjust. People don't realize that moving from one country and to another, even if you know it's very challenging and
Oh
very
yeah, yeah.
stressful. And
You're like kind of like restarting from zero,
zero,
like, right?
yeah,
Like, even though like you were like from there, live
yeah,
there, families
wow,
from there, like your mind is adjusted to a different reality, right? Like, it's
yeah,
a different like networking situation. You gotta to restart from zero, like go and like find jobs or find a new like way to survive and like things to do,
exactly.
and it's too much work for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons we haven't met yet is that we were just constantly adjusting to our lives, what was happening in our lives, and we're like, "Hey, Thiago, hey, Alicia," we were just
Totally.
waving in the middle of the mess somewhere.
Exactly.
But I still
Exactly.
remember, that first trip my sister and I, we were going to come to
Oh
you to
gosh.
Brazil
Yes. Yes.
for
Well,
the
at that time, I
carnival.
always wanted to meet you girls, right? Like, and you had a chance, like an opportunity to travel. I remember, like, you had
Right.
planned that trip with your sister,
Yeah.
and we had like so much plans, right, for that trip. Like, I was so excited, like
Right.
you girls were coming to Brazil, and I remember that we had like a really nice like travel plan,
Travel,
like for
right,
like we're going
exactly.
to go
Because you had
through like historical sites in the region that my family is
you were
from.
you were
A
showing
lot
me
of things to
pictures of where we're gonna
see.
go. I remember this so
Exactly,
much.
exactly. And I remember like that night that you girls supposed to fly in,
Yeah.
I barely slept because I was so like nervous, like, and like kind of getting the updates, because just for who our just for our listeners, like, understand
Yeah.
what you're talking about, was like February
It was in February.
in North America. Like, airports doesn't like that. Like, there's a lot of
No. Oh,
flight cancellations because of the weather conditions, right? And I remember was the worst.
it was the worst winter we had in Northeast
And it
Ohio.
was the worst summer that we had in Brazil. Like, and like thinking about that right now was
Yeah.
like, it was good actually that you girls didn't go to Brazil, because
Yeah.
I remember like my family talking to me. So, hey, don't get upset. Like everything happens like for a reason. If they didn't come, it was because was not meant to be. And like that weekend that we supposed to hang out, like and travel, like in Brazil,
Yeah.
was one of the warmest years, like for years,
Wow.
like was one of the most like warm and hot like weather conditions in Brazil. Like
Wow.
I don't remember like there was like water outage. It was a power outage. Like
Oh,
was really
wow.
hot. People were like really getting sick because of the abusive like
Extreme heat.
warm conditions. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you didn't make it because I don't know if you're going to enjoy as we can
Probably
enjoy
would be
it.
melting.
Exactly. But I remember like going to bed with my phone, my computer, and like, oh, let me check the girls' flights. Like at that time didn't have like too many resources as well. But I remember like you texting constantly to get updates.
Right?
When I finally got a message from you say, "Hey, I'm sorry, and we are not making it," it was like, "Oh, damn it."
I was
Looks
so,
like I'm a nightmare, like those like bad
oh,
dreams. Then you realize like, oh no, I'm just having a bad dream. I need to wake up, and well, you're not there.
oh. You know what, Kyogo? This is really good that we talk about it because we never actually had a conversation
No,
about it.
no, not with those details. I
We
don't
never
think that
had this
me that
conversation about
I
it, but
better like have
but
them
I
sleep.
remember when this was happening, and I spent the whole day talking on the phone, and they told me we can rebook you 3 days later, and my sister and I only had a week off, so we
Yeah,
could gone
yeah, and it's such a
a
long
day or two
travel to
and then
do
come
this.
back.
Yeah,
And I
no, totally.
remember being so devastated because I really thought you were going to hate me. I thought you were going to break our friendship. Oh, I really was. And I didn't want to talk to you about it because I'm like, oh my God, Thiago is going to hate me now. He thinks probably I created, because you were, like you said, you created this whole agenda of what we're going to do and everything. And I was so devastated that
uh,
I would break your heart. That
Oh,
we,
believe me, like I was broken heart, but was
yeah,
not by you, was like by the situation that we
yeah,
experienced. But definitely I was not happy, right?
oh,
I was not happy
sure.
with the situation. And
Yeah,
I remember like going calling the hotels and like,
I
the girls
know.
couldn't make it, we need to cancel the reservation. And people were
Right.
like, oh, that's sad. But I hope one day we will do that
We're
trip
gonna
and
do
we
it.
will like do everything that we planned at that
Yes.
time and more
Or yes.
because now we gotta do it.
We gotta do it.
Right. And you and your sister,
Yes.
so we need to plan
We
that.
need to plan that.
But I hope before that either you and me get to
We have to meet.
have to meet. Even was like at the border, like like we're gonna do like
Third
we could go
control.
to like a further like spot between Canada and US, and just like
Woods.
those like borders towns that they kind of are
Yeah.
divided by like the street,
We
and you
don't have to
can be on the
cross
one
it.
side and on the other side and just wait for you, say, hey, I finally met you in person.
Good idea. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a great idea. We need to
That'll be
find those.
funny though. Could you imagine that? That's
We
so
will never
cool.
have to cross. We don't have to worry about the border. We just sit on your side, I sit on my side, and we chat.
No, I don't think I want that, Alicia. I
No,
want to
you're
hug you. I want to let's have
yeah,
a
we
drink. Let's party.
yeah,
Or just like
anyone who's
something.
watching, you have to make sure we do that. So you better
Exactly,
comment
exactly,
that you want Thiago and Alicia to meet.
exactly,
Put that
exactly.
pressure on us because we have to do it. This is no
We have to do
excuse
it.
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, we do have to do it. And like I'm just thinking here, like I don't have any like traveling plans at the moment.
me too.
But I really want to go to Toronto at some point this year because I
Okay,
want to visit a friend. So I'll definitely keep you
tell me.
update on that because I think it's easier if I'm like in the Eastern, right? Like for
Yeah,
both
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sides.
yeah. Absolutely. That would be better.
Or if you ever like coming to visit your sister, the West Coast as well, like
Yeah, we'll
gotta
have,
gotta do it.
I'm not planning this year, but you never know.
Yeah,
Things
we never
change.
know. Yeah. And I have a plan. Well, something that I learned about life never plan trips.
Never plan trips. You're right.
Trips, they happen spontaneously. All the single trip that I try to plan, like in the previous like
Yeah.
4 to 3 years, like right before before the pandemic, it
Yeah.
didn't work for me. So I just
Right.
like go with the flow. Say, hey, okay, that this opportunity, sales on the ticket, let's get it and book it. So let's see how
That's a
that
good point.
goes. I will just like call you, say, hey, coming down to Toronto,
That's me.
let's meet at least at Buffalo
Yeah.
or Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. We have to meet in Niagara Falls.
Oh, speaking of it,
Yeah.
that is another memory that I have about our friendship.
Yeah.
Niagara Falls is such an iconic like tourist place for both sides, right? Like
Right.
US and Canada. And I remember obviously like, being a kid, like love cartoons and have the woodpecker cartoon. I have like the famous like scene that they jump from like the berry, like from the waterfalls.
Waterfall.
And that is like Niagara Falls, right? And I remember when I think you went there. Well, you were like there
Many times I went.
many times,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I remember you always like, oh, I'm going to Niagara. It was something like it was so unbelievable on my side because I couldn't like always like spoke like with like that dimension that how
Right.
Niagara is. And I remember my first time in Niagara. Obviously you came out of my mind. Like I was like
Sure.
doing this trip with my ex-partner at the time, and I
Right.
was like, oh my God, I wish Alicia was here. It was exactly like doing like the timeline that you're not in US, you are in
Right.
Europe, and like just like adding something to the timeline, the time that you were like in Europe. We can't forget that is such a challenge to have friendship, family, and keep in touch with them when you're not only like living in a different like geography, but like in a different time
Time
zone, right?
zone. Right.
Europe is totally different too, right? As
Absolutely.
in Brazil, like the time that I was in Toronto was not that bad. It was just like 1 or 2 hours behind
Yeah.
or ahead. But like Europe is such a different time zone, right? And I was in North America as well as your family is, right? So we
Right.
also have like that like the gap of like time zone that
Time.
not allow us to do things that we used to do, like share like things, hop in a call, like change exchange like SMS, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But I remember about Niagara, the first time that I went there,
Uh-huh.
and it was like I got that feeling that you were with me.
I
Like those
I
movies
was
that I'm
there.
like, oh my gosh, I wish
I was
like
going over the
Alicia was
falls.
here. But it was like all like that memory, the things that shared with me. We talk about like pictures that you sent it to me by the lakes.
Yeah.
It was like inside my mind and it makes like so much like reached for me because I
Yeah.
was lucky not experience that for the first time. Like I had like a cultural baggage like shared previously by one of my best like visual friends that was you, is it you, right? So it's nice having those like memories again because you've been like such an like special friend to me.
Tiago, I
uh,
also, I was in Brazil. I think I don't remember if this was before. Yeah, it was before I met you.
Yes, you remember that because well, like now, like talking
Yeah.
about that, I remember when we first connect, you mentioned that to me, and I was like, how come? Why you were in Brazil? And actually, I don't recall like the reason that you're in Brazil. Were you like from school or you with your mother
I
in
was with
a
my mom. It was our graduation actually, and she's like, "Okay, you want a party or to Brazil?" And I'm like, "I'm going to Brazil."
That's so funny.
Oh, you
So
went to
even your
Rio de
mom,
Janeiro. Yeah.
yeah, that's so cool. Was your sister in that trip as well? So
Yeah, she
both
was
of you?
there
Yeah,
too. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Rio,
So
right?
yeah, in Rio. We went to
Yeah,
Rio. We flew to Sao Paulo, but we didn't
yeah.
stay there, of course. And I think you were also in Sao Paulo at some point, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, probably yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so
I
but
used to go a lot to São Paulo and Rio. It was on my favorite, like, you know,
And I
Uh,
remember when you
it's-
went to travel to Rio de Janeiro and you were showing me pictures, and I'm like, oh, I
yes,
remember that. Oh, I
yes,
remember this.
yes. Yes, that was like such a like those times that you're young, you want to discover new places, and
Right.
for me was really hard to travel abroad at that time.
Yes.
But like I always like wanted to travel to places that I've never been before in Brazil, get to know that I have a such proud of like being who I am, like those like
Yes.
roots. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna explore Rio. I'm not from here. I'm different from a different state. But
Right.
like that like feeling that you makes you like more like you know belong to that place. And I always love to share that with like people
I
that are
I
not do
loved
not
how
like
proud you were to visit your own country and you were
yeah.
proud to share it. And I was like, well,
There's
I
so much things to see, Alicia, that I barely even know. So we
yes,
should,
we
you
need to
know,
go back. Oh my God.
we should make plans to travel for sure. Like that would be
Absolutely.
so nice to explore those places with you. So many countries that I've never been, and I bet that same for you. Like now, you travel more than me, I assume, like through your own country. But
Sure.
like still, right? Like it's US is huge too.
It's
So many different
huge.
cultures, so
We
many
haven't seen
different like
everything.
exactly. So I think moving forward, when
Yes.
we can, when we establish like more like, um, can I put this way? I'm speaking for myself. When I'm more comfortable, in my personal earning goals and have like some extra time to travel as I want to as a personal goal,
Right.
we should in like 2 years make some goals long term to like at least once a year visit a place
Yes,
either
together. That would
US
be
or
fun.
either in Brazil. That would be
Yeah.
so nice. That would
Oh,
be so
I
nice.
like that idea.
Places that we've never been, both.
Both of us, right?
Yeah, so like, oh well, let's go to do this Brazilian state that I've never been, you know,
That would be an
let's
adventure. I love
discover that together. And for you, the same. Like, oh, let's go to I don't know. Tell me one state in US that you've never been. That
Wyoming.
you
I
want
always
to
wanted
go.
to see Wyoming.
Okay, I don't even know what. No, I know, I know. I
Of
kind of have
course.
like,
But it's
yeah.
like a cowboy rancher place. And
Well,
they've got
yeah,
a lot
I
of,
like it.
natural parks that we can visit.
Nice. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I want to see
Uh,
Yellowstone, you
have
know.
you been to Hawaii?
No, never been to Hawaii. So there we
That is
go.
my
So
that would be like my first US destination. When you say like, oh, I want to trip, I want to make a trip plan to US,
right.
Hawaii. Oh my God,
Hawaii.
it's a dream. We are so close. Well, at
No,
least I am so
you're
close to
closer.
closer than you.
But yeah, we have to do that trip planning
Yes.
and we have to definitely think about it because this is, like we said, 20 years. We had so many things happen in our lives. And, one of our next questions is like, how has your perspective changed over the years because of our friendship and what did we learn recently? Because we had a talk before our
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah. Well, we've learned so much, right? Like that the last call that we had like was like kind of catch up like call like after like those like many years that we haven't
Oh
connected.
yeah,
Obviously, we're like in social media,
sure.
despite the fact that I'm not in social media
I
anymore, but
know.
we still like at that time I was in social media. We are connected on LinkedIn. Like I've been like following like your nice work and your like a new like career, like adventure, like and new studies that you're doing, such as this podcast.
Yeah,
Amazing. So we're always in touch. We always see things from each other, right?
exactly.
But I think we never lost like that kind of like how can I say that like that kind of connection,
But
right?
it
I don't know if you
exists.
have an
There, like
expression that
we
in
have that.
English, but
We have
like
that
in Portuguese we would say like that glue.
glue.
If it makes
Yes,
a well, I
yes.
know that is not an English expression, but we
No,
have to
no,
say something similar in Portuguese that kind of makes that sense. Like, oh, we have the glue, like that
right.
that like extra. feeling that keep us connected, even though we are not talking to each other all the time, or we are like not like living in the same city. I'm sure that um, you also have that kind of feeling that we still like, besides being
Absolutely,
far away, but we still like connected somehow. Um, but like it's really nice recently to know, like your new career path that you're building, new studies. Like you've been such like a um, good student and like researcher, like in the sense of like you always know what you want, and you always like are like going for things. I love that,
yes,
like it's an opportunity like to go and discover like a new thing, and like you're good on that, you just go and do it.
I
Like so
do.
nice. I was so surprised to see recently that you got a new graduation. It's
Yeah,
like so all
thank
over the
you.
place. I love that. I love that.
That's, I think, what we share. That I think that's the glue that we share, actually.
Yeah,
Because
totally, totally. Me
we
too.
both
We were talking about like career path right at that time, and
yeah,
I mentioned to you like Alicia, you know me from a year, like you've known me for like so many years, and remember, like I used to do like corporate communications, like internal
yes,
communications. Like I came to Canada, I decided to do like something completely different. Like I was like exploring that too. And you also have that feeling, right? Like when
right,
you're like in Europe, like getting like different like experiencing different like areas that like you was
exactly. I was
pursuing
originally
at that time.
teaching, and then I went into business and towards
Mm-hmm.
coaching, and that was totally. I didn't
Yeah.
expect to do that in Europe, really, and and
Yeah.
that's that we know our discussion last week was like you reminded me that we both share this drive to discover new things, and I think that's why we
Totally.
we glued so well.
That is the glue. That is totally the glue. We
Yeah,
should we should call it like Thiago and Alicia glue. We're gonna come up with a name for it.
we're the
Because
go-getters.
that is a good
We're
skill. Like everyone in your like whatever like relationship they are in,
yeah,
like friendship, like parentship. I don't know
yeah.
if that exists, but you know what I mean. Like
It's our special
or like
connection.
yeah, so we need that glue, right? Like
Yeah,
we need that like share those like values, like those like goals that keep you going, and like it's nice and it's a good feeling to see you succeed in those like new adventures, right? Like and each
yeah,
other. I'm sure that you also feel that for me. We have like great conversation at that time. So that is what friendship is, right? Like standing for
absolutely.
ourselves and like keeping incentivating and like going like sharing, even though again like we are not all the time in touch, or we are not even like in the same like geography, living in the same
Right,
town, the same city, but we kind of um have good thoughts about each
right.
other, and that
And
is a good energy that we kind of emanate,
we
like we
bring
kind of
together.
yeah we yeah, sorry, losing my word.
No, you got it.
I'm
We
sorry, I talk too much.
Yeah, no, come on. I just wanted to say, I wanted to add to that because, we have that glue. And, last week we talked about all of our relationships, and we both had crappy relationships, to be honest.
I was gonna mention that, but I was not sure if we should.
No, no, we should. I mean, this
Yeah.
what when we were talking last week, after our talk, I'm like, wow, it's so nice to talk to my friend who I actually have a genuine connection with, compared even to my romantic relationships. I never had that.
Uh-huh.
To share it with you, you reminded me of who I was, and because you share that same thing, that same passion as I do, and to hear that you went through what I went through, and I'm like, I can empathize with you because you're so genuine too. And I whenever I had a horrible time with my exes, I talked to you, and you always brought me back, and that's what I love about you, Thiago, is you had
Thank
that
you.
positive energy that you gave to me. You were not demanding it from anything from me. You said, go, Alicia, go and do that.
I have a feeling that like good energy is just like a cycle. It like kind
Yeah.
of circulates among us, like comes to me,
Yes.
go through you, like it's kind of like
Right.
a circle, right? And like saying like like I wish we'll have more I wish we would be more in touch because
Yeah.
like so much things that we like experienced was like pretty much the same that like
Same.
both sides are doing it was like experienced at the same time. So
Right.
at that time we were like still like really like in touch and communicating as we used to do. I probably will have like a different support from each other at the time that we
I think
most needed,
I
right?
think from now on, now when we have future relationships, we have to talk about it to each other.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. I have so much to talk to you about like relationships. And it's
Okay.
funny because uh I'm Brazilian, I'm from South America. The way that we do relationships and the people relations there is
Mm.
completely different from North America. When I'm say different, not saying that it's better or like
No,
it's worse. It's just
it's
different.
different.
Like we're
Right.
all humans, right?
Right.
But like it's nice sometimes I go like deeply in those thoughts and kind of puts both like perspectives and comparison. Like it'll say, "Hey, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
This is how Brazil do. Oh, this is how North America do." And like when I say North America, I'm living in Canada. You're living in the US. It's
Right.
completely different countries, different
Sure.
cultures, different perspectives. But that is still like more closer than
From
South America and
right.
Canada,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It's actually quite a
and
big
and
difference.
I've dated like so many Americans as well here in Canada. So
Sure.
definitely like shared the same energy, the same approach in terms of like communication, people relation, that kind of thing. So if you want to do a podcast on dating
Yeah,
sometime,
dating, that'd be a good
I
one
would
to talk about.
love to chat more about it. And actually, it's funny thing. You can cut this from your podcast if you want.
Or-
But I'll start over. It's funny thing that I created actually. It was first. It is a kind of joke
Uh-huh.
that I have in my tab in my dating that tab.
Uh-oh.
And like I create like this like how to date a Brazilian
Oh,
manual.
manual. I think the
I'm
manual
gonna
was
share that with you. And it's funny because obviously as a joke, I didn't write it myself. I prompted on AI technology, like kind of
ah,
create with like the prompts that I
no,
wanted
no,
to
it's
get
your own.
advice. But I either like scare dates a lot or kind of connect that with them because of that, right? So it's
Oh,
either way. But
that
I'll share with
you
you
really
for you to
you
have
have
an
to share this
idea.
on our next podcast about your dating.
Yeah, we could do
I
that. Totally do that. Totally do
want to hear what.
that. Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
so that's amazing. We had the same experiences, but we didn't connect because we were completely in different side of the world at that time. But I really wish we did at that time.
Well, I came to North America and just you abandoned me. No, I'm just joking.
No,
I'm being dramatic. I'm Brazilian.
Thiago, jeez.
No, no, no. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
But
now that I think about it, you would have helped me a lot through the
yeah,
last.
same. I feel the same way, like so many challenge that we faced with like dating like people in our different cultures,
Cultures.
like
Yeah,
you don't know how to navigate most of the times because it's different, right? Like
yeah,
again, like it's not like that it's best or it's worse than what we have as regular and normal situations, but it's
right.
just like different like people navigating through different cultures and different experience. So it's really challenging for that, and you experience that, right,
Yeah.
in your previous relationships.
I think
uh,
also because we are both so open too.
uh-huh.
I think if people see this and they want to take advantage of it somehow. And sometimes I wish
Yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah,
hey Thiago, do you see this? Am I
yeah,
overreacting to it?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I
Well,
am
I'm here for you now, so
right.
you have me. If you're free to share dates, I'll do the
Thank you.
same. Yeah.
So yeah, we're both so open too. I feel very like you're very genuine. You never changed your personality. I was thinking
Same, same.
years, we are both the same. We haven't changed.
No, no, no.
Despite where we've been, what happened to us,
Yeah.
whatever, we haven't changed. I still see you as you were 19, and I feel like 22 when I'm talking to you because I'm like,
That was the best, right? Like feeling when we reconnect.
yeah,
So we are sharing at the last time that we connected for like long time since we haven't chat with each other, but
yeah,
like you said something to me that was like really caught me thinking about that like later on is like, Thiago, when I'm talking to you, I kind of see myself on my 18s again, and I
right,
was like, wait, that totally makes sense. It also I feel like that,
right.
like those like times, that you're like really like in that adventure like spirit, like you want to
Yes,
get to know things, you want to experience things, you have that energy to go and do it, like every time that I'm talking to you, I have that feeling, like it was like, oh, what do I didn't what do I want to do, like
now,
I will
right?
talk to Alicia because she's going to get me going on that.
Exactly. We have that, I guess our inner spirit connects in that, and we're like adding fire to
Yeah,
that old energy that we used to have. And
yeah,
maybe, you know, I was recently going through a divorce and my energy level is low, but after talking to you, I'm like, oh my God,
yeah,
screw
no, we're more
that.
than that. Let's go, let's
Let's
go.
let go of that energy. I want to go back to what I was. Come on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
we both deserve like much nicer people that we
yeah,
are, because we are the really nice, good people. We
absolutely.
are, we have a great energy. We have a great heart, and I'm speaking more. I mean, like, I'm speaking for yourself
Sure.
with my perspective, but that's what I feel about you.
Yeah.
And we deserve to, like, at least someone that tops that.
Yes.
Like, so
At
do
least
not
meet us
accept
there.
anything below that.
No, no, we don't deserve anything below that. Exactly.
Exactly.
I totally 100% plus.
Exactly.
I think we both deserve the best, really.
Yes. Please.
Definitely. Well, Thiago, to end our podcast, because we're going to talk about dating in the future, of course.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, since you know English so well now, you've been living in
Oh, thank
North
you.
America.
That's so nice.
So, what phrase or saying or words you like in English? And I will tell you my favorite phrase in Brazilian.
Yeah, okay. So,
It's so nice.
well, I that is two words that could like really like sound like simple to
Uh-huh.
me to say, but that has a lot to do with like the person that I became during this time that I became Canadian. I came to a different, like, from a different background, like to a different culture, and like just like the way that the North America, the Canadians were so welcome to me. That is two words that I always, that one of those like two words that you learn first in English
Ah,
that totally makes sense, and now more than ever I always use it,
yeah.
is like thank you and I'm sorry.
Wow.
Right, like thank you is always nice uh to be thankful for things that you achieved, people that you met, uh you know journeys that you go through, and it's never weak to say I'm sorry,
I
right?
love
Like, so Canadians say sorry a lot,
it.
as
I
you know.
know.
And it was like one of the two like first like words that you learn when you're like a very beginner, like learning English, kind of thing. So thank you and I'm sorry. I think like the should be like always the first two words that you're like learning in a language like in English, because it kind of reflects what you can become, right? Like always being thankful,
Yes.
because we will come back to you, that gratitude,
The gratitude.
and never is too late or never is ashamed to say I'm sorry because we're human.
Yeah,
We do like commit like mistakes, right?
exactly.
Like it is always nice to recognize that, to to say, hey, I'm sorry, Alicia, I'm sorry for like being so disconnectful like for 20 years, like I think I
Yeah,
should have like do more effort like to communicate with you, even though we know that we haven't like disconnected completely, but we I confess I did have like some moments that I could have to reach out to you. So
sure.
I'm sorry for not doing that at that
Oh,
time.
me too. Really.
And thank you for being this person that you are, that always like cheers me up, incentivates me. Like if now like I'm living like in North America, like living the American dream, like it is because of you, because you helped me like to build that dream, and you told me and you showed me that it was like possible to do it, right? Like
Yeah,
you incentivated me like to go and achieve those goals, like learning a new language, like understanding a new culture. Like I'm very thankful
huge.
for everything that our friend 20 years friendship brought to us, and
Yeah,
like I feel so close to you because I'm saying that because like even like I have that feeling that even though we've never met, even though I've never met your mom and your sister, I consider them part of my family.
that's
Like
true.
I remember just like going back to the topic that we were talking about, our trip to Brazil.
Yeah.
I remember your mom calling me.
Oh,
I'm speaking with, no, not calling me, but I think I was on the phone with you, and you
yeah.
pass over to her, say, hey, Alicia's mom. I don't know if I'm supposed to say her name here, though. That's
You
why
can say
I
her
say,
name, Ava.
okay. Yeah. So Eva, hi, I'm Thiago. So the girls are coming to my place. It's all good, I'm not a bad person.
I want to
Yeah.
make sure that
I remember
talk
that
to you.
your mom is
I
really
remember
concerned
that.
about that trip,
Yeah,
right? Like because you know how Brazil is danger, right? Like,
sure. You want to
but
make
like
sure you're safe.
I'm sure that I gave her a good impression, and
Yes.
since then, like also like social media, kind of following her on LinkedIn, we kind of get that sense that we belong to that same networking, like, right? Like I have
Yes.
that feel, even though never met you in person, your mom and your sister have that feeling that we are already part of our lives together.
Yeah.
It's so interesting the way that
Beautiful. I
happens,
love
right?
that. Completely forgot that, but my that sounds very much like my mom.
Yeah. If you want to cut this part and put it like on the trip one.
But that's why we're so connected, Thiago, because one of my words I was going to say was obrigada.
Oh, so
Thank
cool.
you, because
Yeah.
you told me that, and I always wanted to say thank you to you because, every day you were saying bum dia
Yeah.
with smiley faces,
That
and
sounds like me. I'm a morning person.
yeah, so I remember bum dia and smiley faces, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's Thiago.
Yeah, no,
And I
totally.
remember Linda and Belisa and those beautiful, just
Yes.
beautiful words. And I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, life is beautiful. So you remind
Yes.
me of that every time.
Thank you. Thank you. See how we are like the same like symphony.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
we have that connection. Once again, that glue you say. What is in Portuguese?
Yes.
Glue.
Yeah, that glue. That glue.
This glue?
Oh, no, you mean like the Portuguese
What's the
version?
word? Yeah.
Isto tem a liga, a
A
cola.
liga. Ooh, I like
Yeah,
that. That's my
like the
new favorite word.
connection, the glue.
I
Yeah.
like that.
When you have like, for example, sisters or brothers that are like really close to each other,
Yeah.
so we say like in Portuguese we say like, oh, looks like it looks like they are like glued together.
Glued together. You're right.
Yeah,
It's the same in English, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Perfect.
that's how I feel about you.
No, me too, Thiago. So thank you everyone for watching our podcast. We'll be doing more together. And if you love our podcast, give us a thumbs up, share, yes, heart, connect, encourage us to meet finally. So Thiago, this won't be our last podcast together, but we will have lots more to talk about. So Thank you, Thiago, for our
Thank
first
you for
podcast.
having me. Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure, always a pleasure,
Yeah.
to be part of your projects because I really believe, that you have so much potential and,
Yeah,
like
together.
it's amazing. Yeah.
Uh, love you, Thiago,
Love
and
you too.
love everybody. See you next
Bye.
time.